Hi all, I'm about to do the last weave through on my band for the length that I want, and though this step isn't necessary, it is something that I've learnt and think that it does help secure things. So I'm set up for my next pass through, so I go through, but this time, instead of pulling it all the way, you want to leave a loop out. So give it a little push down, but leave that loop out, and then go on to do your next pass. So then pass that one through there, and then again leave a loop out, and then through this first loop you left, pass your weft through, and then this loop you left here, use that to pull up the loop you left on the other side, just so that it secures in this thread, and then you can, holding that in place to keep it secure, pull the other one so you then get the new thread that you just put through pulled tight on the other side. And that just finishes off and secures the wefting on your final piece. So it looks just like the rest, but instead of finishing when it loads, it's going to focus. Yeah, so if you can see, instead of finishing ready to come out here, it's actually just finishing tucked in down there. And that just secures it in, so when you do the pass over with the sewing machine, that will secure that in, which can then be used for whatever ending you're doing. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you how to take it off. Okay, as you can see, we've got the beginning of the band all the way to the top here now, so this won't separate anymore, so this is where we want to finish. Now I've finished doing my strands just down here, look, this is where the heedles are, and I've left this much gap because this gives you room for if you're doing braiding or something. If you're going to be just snipping off the ends and sewing the end and folding it over like I showed you on the other band, you could weave this all the way up as far as you could possibly go. But if you want to do a more detailed ending like a braid or something, leave a bit more of a gap. I've left enough here that each side will be 19 centimetres, so it's 38 centimetres left to work with. So in this case my thing is about down the middle for cutting, so that's where I'm going to want to cut. If I can do this one-handed, so you literally just snip it off. That's all it takes to remove it, because then you just give this a pull and they come out of your heedle loom, and all this just comes off. So it's all there, so that's the length of the band we got. So I've got quite a long band here, and I will be doing a bag to match the band, but this is what I've got left of that first shuttle. So it has taken me most of a ball to do, but it's not too bad. Okay, so I'll get set up to be able to show you some of the ends. Okay, for the very beginning part, finishing the end, you can see where we just finished off here. Make a bit of focus. Now, I'm not going to do it on camera because it'd be quite noisy, but what you want to do is just take the sewing machine and go backwards and forwards over that last line here, just a few times to secure it in. Again, it's not something everybody does, but it's something I prefer to do to give extra security. If you just sew back and forth in a basic short straight stitch, just back and forth over a couple of times, then that will actually be secure enough that if you chose to, you could cut off the ends there and nothing would unravel. But I'm going to show you a couple of other ways to finish. Okay, so I've done a few ends. I haven't bothered showing you how to do them because they are really simple. I'll just tell you what they are in a minute. So you could leave it just completely like that on its own as a type of fringe. I haven't actually secured this, but if you were going to leave this, I recommend unravelling up to the point that you started getting more weaving. For some that might be a couple of rows, for others that's going to be a lot more rows. For beginners it'd be more. But this is easily fixed. You can just take your strand, use a little hook or something and pull it tighter, and you can actually pull it tighter without unravelling. So it depends how you want to do it. If I was doing my bags, I'd actually just sew across the top at the neatest part and cut the rest off, because it's not going to matter. I've done more than enough in length. But yeah, so you could just leave the ends completely like that, or tie across to have pretty ties. But then there's also varying different ones here. So this is just a braid with 2 strands. Sorry, 3 strands. It's a basic 3-strand braid. And this one here is a basic 3-strand braid, but with 2 strands per braid. See, so they can produce pretty results with just a basic braid. You'd obviously do them tighter up here, but I was doing it freehand, not securing it, so it's not as tight as I would normally do. But if you secure your band down, you can get really neat results. So that's the 2 type of braids. A braid or plait, you know, just 3 strands. It's very basic. These 2, all I've done is this one I tied 2 strands in with, and this one I tied 4 strands in with, and then I've just unravelled them, and it gives a nice unravel front. And depending on how you have it, the 2 strands or the 4 strands, it gives a thicker or thinner result. Depending on the yarn you use, you can actually get a much wavier and curly result. If you've seen the dolls that I do, the hair on the dolls is done this way, just unravelling, and it creates a really wavy effect if you have a tightly spun yarn. This one wasn't so tightly spun, so it's not very wavy, but you can, I think you get the gist. And yeah, that can also leave, you know, compared to this one, it's a much more delicate and prettier look. I think so anyway. And then you could do a basic twist. So again, I've done this one with 4 strands, just twist, and this one with 2 strands. So you can get some really pretty, just simple ends. I don't recommend doing them all in one strand, obviously, one piece, obviously, pick one and do it. But they can give some nice, simple techniques that actually finish the band off looking lovely. Always try to trim the ends so they're even. I haven't particularly trimmed them at this point, but ideally put a little bit of glue on the dots and then you can trim closer and it looks really pretty. Though you can leave the ends like this and people don't mind. Another thing you can do, which I haven't shown you because I didn't leave long enough ends for that sort of thing, is if you leave at least a whole rotation's worth of thread, at least, you can do knot work, so things like macrame. If you're not sure what macrame is, I think it was around in the 60s and 70s, maybe earlier, I'm not sure. And basically you took your strands and you tied them a certain way for knots, and you can get nice spiral looks, or net looks. There's a whole different way of doing macrame. I do recommend checking it out and looking it up because there are some really pretty ways to do it. But no matter how you decide to do it, whether it's these nice long ends or sewing and cutting off and folding the ends to make it neat, the bands can be really simply finished and still look really pretty. I just thought I'd roll the band up so you can see just how much length we've got from that one complete round of the inkle loom. Now, depending on the size of your inkle loom, you will get different size bands. Some people have floor inkle looms, which can produce some amazing size bands. But this isn't a bad size. This will work for belts, straps, ladards, a whole bunch of things. You can even use them as the edging on clothing. You can get some really pretty edgings on clothing using this stuff. Sorry about the focus there. So yeah, pick what one you like and just create wonderful designs. Your imagination is the limit really, so just enjoy making your bands. Now, okay, so I've done the finishing off and I'm going to pop this up now, so hopefully I hope that's helpful. If you do need me to show you the braids or twists or unravelling, then I'm happy to show you. I didn't want to show them and waste people's viewing times if there is no need, because I'm assuming most people know how to do a braid or a twist, because we've all grown up doing it in different people's hair or making friendship bracelets. I think that's one craft that's never died down, making friendship bracelets. I done them as kids, my mum done them as kids. I know that my boys' generation done them, and I know that my nieces and nephews of younger generations are doing them. So there's actually a whole host of different endings you could do based on friendship bracelets. So just have fun with it. Experiment. At the end of the day, until you've glued that knot in place, you can take it apart. If If you don't like it, take it apart. Never cut anything until you're 100% sure. But just have fun with it. And as I said, if you want to do knot work, just leave at least one twist unworked, so that you've got probably double the length I left, to get the same sort of length as these braids do. Longer if you want to be 100% sure. So you will need to make sure whatever project you are making has enough room for you to leave enough unworked to then do the knot work. I mean, what you could do is finish off the ends and then, using a needle string, thread through extra length strands, to then add on the knot work. If you do it well enough along a sewn edge, nobody will notice. Once you've tied that knot to make it look like it's the end of the threads, nobody will notice. So there is lots of different ways. If one strand's not long enough, twist another one into it. Just have fun with it. So I'm gonna go, and I hope this has been really helpful. If you've watched this part of the video and wondered what's going on, check out the beginner's inkle loom video. That shows you the rest of this whole project. I will link it. I'll try to remember to put it in an iCard up here. So up here, one of those sides, the iCard comes up, and I'll also link it at the end of the video in the end screens, so you should be able to do it. And I'll also link this one in the other video, so you should be able to find both parts pretty simply. But if you're struggling, let me know and I'll send you a direct link. So have fun, and I hope you enjoy doing your inkle weaving. Bye.